Hey guys, my name is Matsumo, and today I wanted to take a look at what I consider to be the best and worst defending operators in Rainbow Six Siege. I know that some of you have been waiting for this video for quite some time, but I was waiting on the shotgun nerf to go live because I knew it was going to have a dramatic shift on the power of some of these operators, and lo and behold, that's exactly what happened. And so to start us off in the S rank, the best of the best, we have Smoke, Jager, and Rook. Rook has not seen any changes since the very beginning of the game, and because of that, he's stayed amazing this entire time. He may not have anything flashy at his disposal, he may not be able to kill his enemy with a cool gadget or anything like that, but what he provides is consistency. There is a reason why he is the top pick operator on defense, because giving your entire team health, even if the enemy is mainly getting headshots, giving your team the little extra buffer to win a firefight is gonna be a night and day difference. And it's for this very reason why he is clearly one of the best operators on defense in Rainbow Six Siege. Now, as for one that requires a little bit more skill and finesse, we have Smoke. He doesn't really have a weakness. You can use the SMG-11 to take people out at long range. I still don't know why they allow you to use an ACOG on that, but because of that, it's an amazing long-range sniper rifle. If things get a little bit more intimate, you can switch it over to your shotgun or your primary weapon to dispatch of enemies in those situations. On top of that, you also have access to some of the best gadgets in the game. You can throw smoke grenades for aerial denial. If the enemy is running low on their timer and they need to get on the objective, throw that in a doorway and they're going to be very reluctant to pass on through because it leaves them very exposed. You can also just use this as a standard smoke screen. If you're caught in a bad position or you just want to move around without the enemy knowing where you are, throw that in front of the enemy and you can move around safely. If that wasn't enough, you also have access to C4. All totaled, Smoke, while requiring a little bit more skill than some of the other operators out there, he is very versatile, and because of that, he fits nicely in this top rank. And then finally, we have Jager. Some people might disagree with me on this one because his gadget may not be as influential as someone like Rook or Smoke, but in my opinion, it's mainly because of his weapon, why he is so powerful. The 416C, I believe, is the hardest hitting weapon that you can have on defense, other than maybe a shotgun in close encounter combat, and because of this, he is a force to be reckoned with. You don't even need to get headshots, and while there is a fair amount of kick to this gun, there is a lot of recoil that you're going to have to manage. Once you get a basic understanding of how this weapon performs, it's arguably the best weapon on defense, at least in my opinion. Even his gadget is good. With the introduction of Kapkan, we've got Buck with frag grenades, Sledge, they increase the potency of flashbangs, people are now using smoke grenades a lot more often. There's really no reason why you wouldn't want to use Jager. Moving on down to the A level, we have Bandit, Valkyrie, and Caveira. I was having a hard time placing Caveira in this list because in some instances, she's blatantly overpowered and becomes the best of the best. If you're able to get an interrogation off, you don't necessarily win that round for your team, but it gives your squad a massive advantage. Having wall hacks is incredible. There's no getting around that, but the downside is that it's very hard to do so. Most enemies are going to stick together. They're not going to allow you to get an interrogation off, and because her weapons are more on the mediocre end of the spectrum, they're definitely not the best of the best, I find that she is more of just an average operator. And so that's the reason why I placed her in the A rank. I almost brought her down to B because of her weapons and the unlikelihood that you can get an interrogation off, but I kept her at the A rank because if you do, she basically becomes overpowered. Now, as for Valkyrie, I considered her to be god tier before this patch. You could use her exceptional gadget to figure out where the enemy was, and then when you actually got in a firefight, you could just melt the enemy's face with your amazing shotgun. The shotgun got a bit of kick in the face. It's not worthless now, but it's not that overpowered monstrosity that it was before the updates. And so it's for this very reason why I dropped her down a level. She's still awesome, don't get me wrong. Her cameras allow you to gather a lot of information. You can relay that to your teammates. Her gadget I still think is one of the best in the game, but because they did reduce arguably her best weapon, I had to drop her down a level. And then finally we have Bandits. Bandit is just consistent. He's always been good. His weapon might require a little bit more skill because you need to get headshots with it. It doesn't do a lot of body damage. You do not want to try to rip into the enemy. You probably don't want to go against a Blackbeard with this guy. But as long as you're landing headshots, his weapon's solid. He's got aerial denial. He's able to use the bandit trick to really annoy enemy thermites. And so all in all, he deserves this A rank as well. Now moving on down to the B tier, we have Mute, Doc, Pulse, and Frost. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. I don't know if you guys remember this, but when Frost was first released with the Black Ice DLC, the Super 90 shotgun was a pocket sniper rifle. There was no other way to describe it. It didn't matter if the enemy was 1,000 meters away or right in front of you. it was pretty much going to take you out no problem. There were a lot of examples where I was counter-sniping Glaz with the Super 90 shotgun a fair distance away. It was way too powerful, and thankfully they nerfed it. But not only did they nerf it once, but they nerfed it again with this most recent patch. And so it's because of this, even though I think that her gadget is still very good, it's going to be able to get some cheeky kills off an unsuspecting enemy if they're not always watching the ground. I think it's because of that nerf, and also her SMG seems to be very lackluster, why I put her in the B category. The B category for me, at least, is more of just your average operators. They're not bad, they're not exceptional, they'll do their job and they'll do it well, and I think that Frost fits this category very nicely. Another one who has fallen from greatness very quickly is Pulse. He went from being a terror in the night where everyone was scared of him to someone who now doesn't see much play. I honestly debated dropping him down even another level, but I think that that's pushing things too far. He's not bad, he still has some good guns, they're not worthless, they still get the job done. His gadget is great at relaying information to your teammates and figuring out where the enemy's position is, but he's no longer that wall hacking son of a bitch that everyone was frustrated with. Mute is someone I've been having a lot more fun with, and the only reason why I didn't bring him up a level is because he doesn't have access to an ACOG scope. That might be a surprise to some of you. It's like, really? ACOG scope brings down the power of an operator, but I truly do believe that that's the case. It may not be the same on Xbox or PlayStation or something like that, but because on PC, headshots are king, having an ACOG makes it a lot easier to get those headshots at a distance. His gadget is much better than it used to be, easily countered. There's a lot of ways to counter it, but much better than it was in the past. And so while I have a lot of fun with him, I think it's because he doesn't have the ACOG scope and because he also has these counters, why he fits nicely in this category as well. And then finally we have Doc. Doc is basically just a weaker Rook. He's got the same weapons, he's got the same armor, he has the same playstyle, but his gadget just isn't as consistent. There are very few situations where your gadget really has any influence or impact on a match. It does happen, don't get me wrong, I've won multiple rounds simply because I was playing as this guy, but it just happens very, very infrequently, and so it's for this very reason why I find him to be a little bit more lackluster, good, average, but nowhere near as powerful as Rook. The ones that form our C rank goes to Castle and Kapkan. I don't like Kapkan. I know that there's people out there that main him, they really like this guy, but I find his gadget just to be worthless, and I find his entire kit to be fairly lackluster compared to all of the other classes and operators in the game. His gadget just doesn't have a lot of presence. And while I know that it got buffed recently, ever since the buff, while there were a couple of learning experiences, there were a couple of deaths that people had to work around, now that people know what to look out for, and they know just to take things a little bit slower when a Kapkan's on the enemy team, you don't see his gadget really coming into play whatsoever. It can deny some area, I mean, it can cause the enemy to pause a little bit, which will maybe allow you to get a kill here and there, but I just don't like Kapkan. His guns are okay, they're not great, they're definitely not exceptional, and so it's for this very reason why he's here with Castle. Castle's also not very good. His guns are pretty bad. I never liked the UMP. I thought it was terrible. His shotgun, I believe, got nerfed with this most recent update, and his gadget seems to actually hurt your team more than it benefits. I mean, I think I've lost more rounds because I had a Castle block me out of the objective, they got on the objective, and then I was left trying to break it down, giving the enemy a free kill. It's very frustrating to have a Castle on your team that does that to you. And while I'm sure some people will disagree with me on this one, maybe I just don't understand the true power of this guy. I find him to be one of the more lackluster operators in the game. And then finally, the bottom of the barrel, the D rank, we have Lord Chaka. Oh, I wish this guy got buffed. Oh, I wish Chaka got an upgrade. He has seen a slight buff because his shotgun is now a little bit better at a distance. I mean, I've had a lot of fun using this guy on some maps. If you're able to somehow close the gap with his very slow movement speed and his very loud footsteps, you can do a number on the enemy team. But his gadget is worthless. Like, there's literally no reason to use his gadget unless you're somehow able to get the surprise on the enemy, but that doesn't happen if you're going against a competent team who drones it out or just simply uses communication. And so for this very reason why he is the very, very bottom of the barrel. But yeah, guys, that is my list of best and worst defending operators in Rainbow Six Siege. I hope you enjoyed. Give me your thoughts on this. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Would you change some around? How would you form your list? Let me know down below. But yeah, guys, until tomorrow, have a good one and take it easy.